It started as just another press event, flashing cameras, perfectly tailored suits, and that polished grin Diddy's worn for decades. But no one was prepared for what came next. Not his team, not the fans, and certainly not the family still. Mourning Kim Porter. Because halfway through a media Q&A, the man who built an empire on swagger and silence broke. His voice cracked, his hands trembled, and with eyes full of something he hadn't shown in years. Fear, he said, the unthinkable. I had to protect myself. And silence, what could have destroyed everything. You could hear a pin drop, and then came the chaos. Reporters screamed. Phones flew up. And within seconds, every major outlet was running one headline. Diddy just confessed. But confessed to what exactly? Because the story of Kim Porter's tragic passing always felt unfinished. Questions lingered. Timelines didn't quite match. And now, in front of the world, Diddy's meltdown cracked open a vault of secrets no one was supposed to touch. What did he really mean? Why now? And what hidden truth about Kim Porter has been buried until now? Stay with us. This is the story that may finally shatter the silence. The moment Diddy walked off that stage, everything changed. Paparazzi scrambled. Fans swarmed the building and his team. They looked like they'd just seen a ghost. The man who once controlled the media with a glance now looked like he couldn't control his own thoughts. His face pale, his hands shaking, and his voice completely gone. But the cameras were still rolling. And backstage, someone caught it all. Get him out of here. Now, one of his handlers whispered. But Diddy wasn't moving. He was frozen, staring into space like he was watching something play out in his mind, something dark. Something he'd been trying to forget. Just a few minutes earlier, he was answering a routine question about his legacy. But then someone brought up Kim Porter. And that's when it cracked. Do you still think about her? The reporter asked, casually, maybe even kindly. Diddy looked up. Every day, he said. But then came the pause. The kind of silence that weighs more than words. But not just because of love. It's what happened after. What I did. To keep it quiet. And just like that, chaos erupted. The public didn't wait for explanations. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #DiddyConfession and #JusticeForKim trended within hours. People started rewatching old interviews, digging up Kim's final days. And most chilling of all, re-examining the autopsy report. Was there more to her death than we were told? Archie, a longtime music journalist, tweeted, I always felt there was a hole in the timeline. Something didn't sit right. Diddy's breakdown, that confirms it. And it wasn't just fans. Insiders started whispering to. A former Bad Boy assistant anonymously posted, if y'all knew what went down in those last 6 months, you'd never listen to his music again. Suddenly, the puzzle started forming. Kim Porter, model, mother of 3, and Diddy's longtime partner was found dead in 2018. Pneumonia, they said. But friends always claimed she was healthy, glowing, vibrant. Just days before her death, she posted videos dancing with her kids. No sign of illness, no sign of struggle. But then there was the diary. An unverified source revealed Kim had kept private journals pages filled with concerns, fear, and allegedly a plan to come forward. About what? No one knew. But according to this source, the entry stopped abruptly 3 days before her death. And now, Diddy was confessing to something. Something about protection. About silence. He didn't say he hurt her, one panelist on a morning show argued. He said he silenced something that could mean anything. But others weren't so forgiving. He's been living in the shadows of this for years, said Monique, a close friend of Kim's. There was pain in her life people don't understand. Now we see why. Still, the real question remained: what exactly did Kim know, and why was Diddy so scared of it? As fans scrambled for clues, another name popped up: Andre Harrell. Before his passing, Andre was known as a mentor to Diddy, but also someone who had reportedly warned Kim to stay quiet. An old clip resurfaced of Kim at a party, looking uncomfortable, being whispered to by both Diddy and Andre. Her expression tense. The caption, "Trust me. Some truths are worth staying buried." Was that the moment everything changed? Meanwhile, inside Diddy's estate, things were unraveling fast. His kids, once publicly supportive, went quiet. His inner circle shrank. And according to one close friend, he started sleeping with the lights on, like he was afraid of something. Maybe it wasn't guilt. Maybe it was karma catching up. And then came the leak. A voicemail, allegedly from Kim sent to a close friend just days before her death, surfaced. Her voice was soft, trembling. "If anything happens to me, don't let them twist it. Don't let them say I was sick. I wasn't. I'm fine, but I'm scared." That one message sent shockwaves. Who was she scared of? What was she trying to say? And more importantly, why did she feel like her truth would be erased? Diddy still hadn't released a statement. No apology, no denial. Just silence. But that silence was louder than ever. And as the media frenzy grew, so did the pressure. Lawyers started circling. Talk show hosts demanded accountability. And protesters began showing up outside his events, holding signs that read, "Justice for Kim." And what are you hiding, Sean? But behind the cameras, something even bigger was brewing. A new witness had come forward. Someone from inside the house the night Kim died. And what they were about to reveal could change everything. The new witness didn't want to be seen. No cameras, no name. Just a distorted voice and a trembling confession delivered through a recorded interview played on an underground podcast. But their words hit harder than anything the public had heard so far. "I was in the house that night. I saw Kim. And I saw what she looked like before it all happened. She was nervous, but she was alive. She was breathing. It just changed." The host asked, "What do you mean, it changed?" There was a guest, someone unexpected. And after they left, Kim wasn't the same. The interview went viral within hours. Twitter, Reddit, Instagram all flooded with wild theories. The biggest question? Who was that guest? Rumors swirled. Some said it was a music exec. Others claimed it was a private doctor flown in last minute. But the most unsettling theory? It was Diddy himself. "I don't know what he said to her," the witness continued, "but she cried. She said, 'I can't protect everyone. I have to say something.' And that night, I heard her coughing, struggling, but no one called for help." What followed was pure chaos. The podcast episode was mysteriously removed just 12 hours after being posted. But the damage was done. People began demanding a reopening of Kim's case. Hashtags like #reopen Kim Porter and #Diddy Did It trended globally. Reporters started digging into the old 911 call, into the corner. The internet didn't buy it. "He's running." One fan posted, "Mental health isn't a shield for hiding the truth," wrote another. But there was something else, something chilling. A former security guard came forward anonymously, claiming that the home's panic room only a few people even knew existed was accessed the same night Kim died. Why would you need a panic room unless you felt unsafe? The guard asked, but the real bombshell? The guest list. A source leaked internal texts from Diddy's assistant showing that a mystery visitor was booked under an alias that night. And when the name was decrypted, it pointed to a well-known entertainment fixer, someone whose job was to clean up celebrity scandals before they went public. Was Kim trying to expose something? Was someone sent in to stop her? The pieces were falling into place, but nothing hit harder than the third. leaked a deleted video from Kim's phone recovered from the cloud. It showed her walking through the house late at night, whispering into the camera. Her voice low, her eyes alert. I know they're watching me. I can't trust anyone. But if I go down, this is my proof. I didn't do drugs. I didn't overdose. I was silenced. Fans were speechless. Her children were silent. And Diddy? He vanished. No sightings. No events. No social media. Just silence. But that only made the world scream louder. Celebrities began speaking up. Some cautiously. Others with fire. We always knew she was different, said one singer. She was too smart, too pure. That kind of woman scares people with secrets. And yet, there was still one voice missing. Cassie, the woman who spent years by Diddy's side after Kim. The woman who many believed knew more than she ever let on. She hadn't spoken in years. But sources now claimed she was preparing to break her silence with a documentary. And guess what? It featured Kim's footage. That was the moment everything turned. Again, because once Cassie's team confirmed the footage was real, the legal floodgates opened new investigations. Subpoenas, even the feds allegedly poking around to see if anything more sinister had occurred. But what would they find? Was it just fear that led Diddy to silence her? Or something darker? And if Cassie spoke, what secrets would she bring to the surface? The world was waiting, and somewhere in a mansion where every room echoed with memory, Diddy was listening. And somewhere in a mansion where every room echoed with memory, Diddy was listening. Sources said he barely spoke. Blinds shut, phones off, staff dismissed. But one thing was clear, he had watched the footage. The one from Kim's cloud. The one Cassie confirmed. And when he saw it, he reportedly whispered just one thing. They weren't supposed to find that. That's when the meltdown began. Security. Footage from his driveway, leaked by a former employee, showed Diddy storming out barefoot, pacing in circles under the California moonlight. Yelling into the air, "You think you know what happened? You weren't there." He then threw his phone into the bushes and, according to insiders, disappeared for over 4 hours. But he wasn't gone. He was calling his lawyer. And the call. It was recorded a whistleblower, someone from the legal team leaked audio of the SLE call. They got the tapes. Diddy's voice trembled. And now Cassie's in on it. They're not just trying to cancel me. They're trying to bury me. Everything ... Everything I built. The lawyer tried to calm him. We can contain it, but Diddy wasn't having it. You don't understand. This wasn't supposed to go public. Kim made a choice. She said she'd stay quiet. The call cut off there, but the internet exploded. A choice to stay quiet? What was she staying quiet about? Even those who once defended Diddy began falling silent. The truth was stretching too far to ignore. Former collaborators began distancing themselves. Artists pulled out of features. A charity event he was supposed to host canceled without explanation. And then Cassie broke her silence. In a video posted to her page, she looked directly into the camera. No glam, no background music, just raw emotion. "I've held back for years," she said, voice shaking. "But now, with what's come out, I can't stay silent anymore." Kim was more than just a beautiful soul. She was trying to protect her children, and she was trying to protect me too. That line alone shattered the internet. What did Kim know that Cassie needed protection from? Cassie continued. What happened to Kim was not just a tragedy, it was preventable. She reached out. She told me things. She warned me. And now, I have to honor that. She then revealed the biggest twist yet. She had more footage, not just from Kim, but from herself. Secret. Audio clips, texts, screenshots, things that painted a timeline of manipulation, isolation, and fear. "You're going to see it all," Cassie said. "Because the truth deserves to be free." And just like that, a docuseries trailer dropped. Title: Her silence wasn't peace. And Diddy, he didn't speak. But insiders said he smashed every mirror in the West Wing of his estate that night, reports now suggested the feds were watching closely, not for drama, but for potential obstruction. You see, the cloud files weren't just emotional. They were time-stamped, GPS tagged, and some messages hinted at threats. From Chisay Tet, from masked emails, and one message even read, "You talk, you lose everything. Remember what's at stake." Signed only with the letter S. Fans were quick to point out that Diddy's middle name, Sean, and then the most chilling piece dropped an old voicemail. One Kim left for her sister days before she died. Her voice was low, almost whispering. "If anything happens, it's not an accident. Protect my babies. And don't let the narrative be written without me." Her sister, in tears, confirmed it was real. The comment sections flooded. "This isn't a conspiracy anymore. We need answers. We need justice." Meanwhile, Diddy's exes began speaking up. Not about Kim, but about a pattern: controlling behavior, sudden disappearances, things swept under the rug. One actress wrote, "I always felt like there were stories behind those walls we were never meant to hear." Another said he'd buy silence with gifts, but the fear, you couldn't fake that. And yet, through all of it, Diddy stayed quiet. Until one night, at 3:27 a.m., a video went live on his official account. No intro, no production, just him, disheveled, eyes red. Sitting in a dark room, lit only by a single candle, he stared at the camera for 20 seconds before speaking. "I loved her," he said, "but loving someone doesn't mean you're good for them." He took a breath. "She wanted out. I didn't want her to go. I tried to make her stay. A Taz, but what happened? That wasn't supposed to happen." He looked down, hands trembling. "You think you know what this is about, but you don't. None of you do." Then, the screen went black. No captions, no comments allowed, just silence. But that silence spoke louder than any statement, because for the first time, Diddy didn't deny anything. And now, the world wanted more. And now, the world wanted more. But what they got was chaos as the candlelight video circled the internet like wildfire. Fans dissected every flicker in his eyes, every pause in his breath, every shift of his fingers. Conspiracy forums began breaking down the symbolism. One user claimed that single candle represented Kim. Another pointed out the timestamp of the video, 3:27 a.m., matching the birthdate of Kim's first child. Some called it a cry for help. Others, a final warning. But behind the scenes, something bigger was brewing to major streaming platforms. Both rumored to have shelved documentaries on Diddy in the past, now reignited talks with Cassie's team. Insiders revealed that the footage Cassie teased included never-before-seen images from Kim's final weeks, private conversations, therapy notes, and most damning of all, a journal entry from Kim herself. The page leaked online briefly before being scrubbed, but the screenshot was already saved. "I'm scared. I hear things in the house. Doors creak when no one's here. He says it's just stress, but I know what stress sounds like. This is different. It's like something is watching me." Fans were stunned. The journal was dated just 4 days before her death. Then, a producer who once worked closely with Diddy came forward anonymously. They described a trip to the Bahamas in late 2017. Kim stayed quiet most of the time, the producer shared. But one night, over dinner, she leaned in and whispered, "You know things, don't you? He's not who the world thinks he is. And she smiled like she was joking. But her eyes, they weren't joking. The story spiraled. Alistair's who, once toasted with Diddy at lavish parties, began turning off comments on their posts. Old photos were deleted. Deals were quietly canceled. A rumored TV appearance featuring Diddy pulled last minute, but it wasn't just the industry pulling away. It was the people closest to him. Quincy Brown, Kim's son, who had always remained quiet during the initial aftermath, finally broke his silence in an emotional Instagram live. His voice shook as he said, "I protected him for too long. I believed he loved her. I really did. But after seeing everything, hearing the things she recorded, I can't keep pretending." And then, almost in passing, he added, "There was one night. She locked herself in the bathroom for hours, said she couldn't sleep because she kept dreaming about drowning in her own house." The comment section exploded. What was going on in that house? Meanwhile, more messages surfaced. Not just from Kim, but from a former housekeeper who worked for the family during the final 2 months. The housekeeper's affidavit claimed Kim had confided in her. "She asked me if I believed." In curses, the woman said, "She told me sometimes love can feel like a prison if the other person holds the key to your silence." And then, the turning point came. A second voicemail. Dated just 2 days before Kim passed. This one wasn't to her sister. It was to Cassie. In the voice note, Kim whispered, "They're watching me again. I can't tell if it's paranoia or if it's real, but I see shadows in my hallway. Cass, if anything happens, promise me you'll speak for me. You always had the strength. I didn't." Cassie reposted it with no caption. None needed. The internet lost it. HASHTAGS, like hashtag Justice for Kim, hashtag Diddy exposed, and hashtag Candle testimony began trending worldwide. And still, Diddy remained silent until he wasn't. Paparazzi footage captured him entering a private club in New York. He looked disheveled, glasses on, hoodie up, walking fast. The man next to him, an alleged crisis manager, known for helping celebrities bury scandals. Inside sources said the meeting didn't go well. He was told that damage control was impossible. The public wasn't just speculating, they were connecting dots. And then, another twist, a reporter at a small urban blog dropped an anonymous tip. Check the flight log for Diddy's private jet the night before Kim's last hospital visit. People did, and it turned out he hadn't been home that night, but someone else had, a known associate. Someone previously charged with intimidation in a separate case. Suddenly, questions turned darker. Was Kim's death really natural? Forensic pathologist came forward stating the original autopsy might have missed signs of foul play due to rushed results. The internet demanded a reinvestigation. And just when things couldn't get more surreal, an old interview clip resurfaced. Kim, on a talk show in 2009, smiling, saying, "I keep diaries, lots of them. One day, I'll tell my story." It was like a message from the grave. Where were those diaries? That's when a family member dropped the final bombshell of Part 4. We found them in her closet, behind her coats, wrapped in plastic. And what's inside? As the world leaned in, desperate for answers, the screen faded to black. But the silence didn't last long. Because the next morning, Diddy posted again. Not a video, not a story, just a single photo. The candle, and under it, 2 words, "Forgive me." The post hit like a lightning bolt. No caption, no explanation. Just a black and white photo of the candle, again, the same one fans had obsessed over for days. And beneath it, 2 words, "Forgive me." It wasn't a statement. It was a crack. The internet exploded. Some fans froze, unsure if it was a cryptic confession or just another manipulation tactic. Others were furious, calling it a coward's attempt to shift blame without owning anything. Within minutes, blogs ran with headlines like "Diddy finally admits guilt" and "Forgive me for what?" But the silence that followed only deepened the mystery. No follow-up, no interview, no comment. That's when a former producer, one who worked closely on Kim's early music dreams, came forward anonymously. They'd been sitting on a voicemail from Kim, dated back to 2016. "I just don't know how long I can keep pretending," she had said. "He wants to control every part of my story. My words, my image, my silence. If something ever happens, I hope someone still listens." And now, people were listening. Fans dug through years of footage, old interviews, music videos, paparazzi, clips. Even eye contact between Kim and Diddy at events was now being reinterpreted. She blinked twice in that video. Maybe it was a signal. Notice how she stood away from him at that red carpet. The internet turned into a detective's dream. Then, a second diary surfaced. This one far more detailed, according to the family member who found it. It contained names, locations, dates, even descriptions of arguments. One entry described a fight so intense, Kim allegedly locked herself in the bathroom and wrote, "He thinks I don't know what he's capable of, but I've seen it. The charm is the mask. What happens behind doors is the truth." It was chilling. One particular line from that diary went viral. "If something ever happens to me, it wasn't because I was weak, it's because I was silenced." At that point, celebrities began speaking out. Jada Pinkett Smith posted a black square with the hashtag #KimSpirit. Lauryn Hill shared a cryptic lyric about flowers blooming in the shadow of lies. Even Usher, one of Diddy's longtime friends, removed all photos of the two from his Instagram, replacing his profile pic with a black candle. The pressure mounted. And finally, after a week of silence, Diddy emerged. He walked into a private interview. No crowd, no music, no entourage, just him and the journalist sitting across from him. The room was dim, no flashy lights, just the raw sound of breathing, fidgeting hands, and the ticking clock on the wall. He started slow. "I made mistakes," he said, voice cracking. "I lost myself. I hurt people." The interviewer leaned in. "People want to know, did you hurt Kim?" The silence stretched. Then Diddy said something no one expected. "I loved her more than anything. But love doesn't erase damage." He didn't deny anything. He didn't admit everything, but he said enough. "I was afraid, not of her, of the truth, of what would happen if people really saw who I was when the music stopped." He looked down, rubbed his eyes. "I didn't kill her, but I didn't save her either." He spoke about control, about image, about ego, and then about guilt. "Every time I see her smile in old videos, I hear her say things I didn't want to hear back then, and now I can't unhear them." Fans watching from home couldn't believe it. Some cried, some screamed, some called it a performance. Others called it the beginning of accountability. And while the world processed that interview, the final twist hit. A filmmaker close to the Porter family announced a documentary title, "Her Silence Wasn't Peace," featuring Kim's journals, Cassie's testimony, Quincy's heartbreak, and, for the first time, unreleased home footage from Kim herself. In one clip, Kim is seen walking through her garden, talking to the camera. "If you're seeing this," she said softly, "it means the truth finally mattered." It was like a whisper across time. And just as the clip ended, the screen faded to black, and one final message appeared, dedicated to every woman whose story was rewritten without her consent. The reaction? Pure shock. Fans flooded social media with tributes, theories, and demands for justice. Some called for a criminal investigation. Others lit candles in her memory. A mural appeared overnight in Harlem, Kim smiling, holding a diary. Her hair blowing in the wind, beneath it, painted in red. Truth never dies, and Diddy. He vanished from public view. No posts, no appearances, just silence. But the echo of his confession still lingers, and now the world is watching every move, every shadow, every whisper, because the story isn't over. Not by a long shot, so now you know, behind the platinum records, the champagne nights and the flashing lights, there was always a story waiting in the shadows, a story of control, of silence, of a woman who saw too much and said too little, not by choice, but by design. Kim Porter's name isn't just a headline anymore. It's a reckoning. A reminder that fame doesn't erase pain. That love, when twisted by ego and fear, can become something darker, something dangerous. And as for Diddy, his world has cracked. His image is no longer untouchable. The meltdown wasn't just emotional, it was symbolic. The unraveling of a man who built an empire on power but never realized the cost until it was far too late. But we ask you, what do you believe? Was it guilt? A real confession? Or just damage control wrapped in crocodile tears? This is where you come in. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Kim trying to warn us all along? Should there be consequences beyond canceled shows and social backlash? If you think this story deserves more light, more voices, and more pressure for justice, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want the truth behind the glamour, the gossip, and the games the industry plays to protect its own. And don't forget to share this with someone who still believes silence is safety, because sometimes the truth only survives when we speak it out loud. This isn't over, and as long as the candles keep burning, neither is Kim's story. Stay tuned, because the next revelation might change everything.